All right. Where? There you are. All right. Welcome to Master Memories, the podcast where my friends talk about their lives. I'm here with Derek Robert Huddleston, a.k.a. D-Hud, a.k.a. Drock, a.k.a. Derek, a.k.a. You have any other nicknames?
Just Deedle D was my first one.
Deedle D?
My parents gave me.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, Derek, what is your first memory of me and you?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't remember a lot of freshman year.
Yeah, it's good. Repressed when we were all young and weird.
I don't remember meeting anybody really. The only person I kind of remember talking to was HUD. Because we were like on the way to Mount. It was convocation. It was that day, and we went to convocation. We came back for whatever mountain we were doing. I remember talking to him in a parking lot. Or I think another one that comes to mind is meeting you in HUD and Adam's room. And then going over to your room and you're having a Smash simulation going or something.
The Smash simulation days. Yeah, that sounds about right, honestly. That was a dark days for me. That was Burger Boy time too, so yeah.
That's true.
Dark days. Did we work the same Buckeye Frenzy tent?
We might have, but I was very distracted. I think we did, actually.
Yeah.
I think it was you, me...
Isabel Palmer,
because I remember being very distracted by her at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it is.
Because, I was thinking about this, the other day, because, doing my prep work. And I was like, who was talking to Isabel Palmer? I was like, it was either Derek or another attractive person. I can't tell which one it was. But I remember just sitting there damn, I don't know what's going on right now, but I'm watching college unfold.
I remember that now. That has to be it. That has to be one of the first interactions, but I was just completely distracted.
Yeah, it's all right. We all get rose-colored glasses sometimes. Shout out Jake Palmer. What were you doing before we started filming today?
Sleeping. I was up very late last night, and am still kind of waking up. I was sleeping, I woke up, took a shower, got a little breakfast in me, and then came over here, and we said bye to Evan, and now we're here.
What does your typical day look like?
Typical day, in the summer right now?
Yeah.
So, I've actually been trying to get better about waking up early, but the typical day this summer has been, waking up at, 11 noon.
Mm-hmm.
I'll usually, make some breakfast. I've really been enjoying trying to get better cooking.
Mm-hmm. It's a good life skill.
Yeah. I have fun taking my time in the kitchen and cooking good meals. So I usually cook a good breakfast. I've been on the avocado grind recently. So I'll throw that in my breakfast a lot. Then I'll usually DoorDash for a bit. Oh no, actually. I'll go sit on the roof and read for a while. Just kind of soak in the sun. And then I go DoorDash and I come back, play video games when the sun's down, and then do the same thing all over again.
It's a good day.
Yeah, it's very relaxing.
When you sit on the roof, I try to read on the roof for a little bit, but I feel like it got really hot under me real fast.
Yeah.
Do you experience that too? Or?
Yes, absolutely. So what I do is I used to throw down one towel to sit on it, then that got too hot, and then so now I throw 2 or 3 towels down just so I'm perfectly cushioned. I kept burning my ass.
Yeah, I honestly might bring one of the fold-out chairs onto the roof and just read up there.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, the only thing is I don't know what balance that would be, But I try to read outside, and so because part of the 75 for that hard thing is read 10 pages of a book a day, and so I don't know. The only outside of reading, it would just be walking to and from the gym, and then going on runs when I do go on runs. So it's just I need more sunlight. I am too pasty to not be getting any sun. Where do you lean politically and why?
I'm not very political.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand really I don't know what's left and what's right entirely.
Yeah.
But if I had to say, it'd probably be more left-leaning.
Yeah. From
the conversations I've had with people. It's hard to say why exactly, because I think it comes down to specific issues. But the way I see a lot of political issues is not really ever black and white.
Yeah.
Like you can usually see both sides.
Yeah.
And I can have my own individual preferences on some things, but yeah, like I don't think either side like perfectly encompasses like what I believe. It just like comes down to an issue by issue basis.
Yeah, I think most issues are gray, and I also think that like people that are one choice voters or stuff like that are stupid, and then
What is that?
it's like I'll only vote for the candidate that like has this belief, you know, like
Okay.
like only voting for like let's say pro-life candidates, or like only voting for the other.
Yeah.
But if you don't mind me asking, like why do you think you're not so involved in politics?
I don't know, because I should be. I've
Yeah.
had a lot of conversations with people that I should be more involved because it actually affects me. It actually affects the people around me. I guess I'm just like don't really think about how it affects me, even though I know it does. I just don't really actively consider it.
Yeah.
Because I know it's a terrible mentality to have. I know it's wrong, but I never really understood the idea that like one person's like vote really matters.
Yeah.
I have voted, but just like I don't fully understand like. So I don't know. I think I will start getting more involved and start reading newspapers and like keeping up with podcasts, trying to like make sure I'm educated like on issues so I can like make informed decisions. But I think right now I just like had other stuff going on. I didn't really prioritize that, which isn't good.
Yeah.
But
I think with like the news in general, like it's almost impossible to like, catch up on everything all at once. But it's more just like, you know, watching the nightly news does wonders to like how much you'll like be involved with stuff like that. But
yeah,
I don't.
Even like Spotify, I started listening to this a little bit. They had like a morning wake up thing where it was like what's going on in the news, and then it was like a couple of your favorite songs, and then maybe a favorite podcast, and it was just like a thing to start your morning. I feel like something like that would just be perfect because it was very like condensed.
Yeah.
Kind of what happened, brief overview. So I might just start doing something like that, so I'm informed on like what's going on in the world, but also what's going on politically.
I like that. And also, I feel like there's a very, I don't know, like the view of like the only election that matters is the presidential election is like stupid. If anything, like the presidential election obviously matters, but like the more local you get between like state and then like local and all that stuff is like honestly like I think the most important elections just because like it's the stuff that more directly affects you than like making changes across the whole country is hard, which is why like presidents really don't like, they're like. The presidential election is more of like who gets in power for like the Senate and House so they can like pass more stuff than the actual president himself. But like, I don't know, midterms being every 2 years, I think need more press just because like state stuff is I think a lot more potent because it's like where you actually live.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think a lot of people are starting to feel that. I know there's like an abortion law that passed recently, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that's actually affected like. It's bad, but like I didn't even know that law was like going into effect. And I the one I was very aware of was the one about was it was education on
Critical race theory?
Critical race theory. I don't know. No, I think it was more with the sexual orientation. Like
Oh yeah, with Florida? Or, yeah.
That was one I was actually aware of.
Yeah.
Just because I saw everybody posting about that.
Yeah.
But there's really a lot of stuff that like I don't find out until it's too late, which is not good.
It was, even like, me trying to be involved, I like recently found out that like a bill was passed like a week ago where Ohio teachers like, instead of like needing like, I think it was like 200, 300 like hours of experience before they can like carry in a classroom, it's now only 24 hours. So like
carry a gun?
To carry a gun in the classroom.
Okay.
So like, I don't know, Columbus and Cleveland have been like, we're not going to have our public school teachers, you know, use this. We're still not allowing firearms, but like, I don't know, just like the fact that like a rural country school could like have a teacher that like in a couple days gets their firearm license and like, I don't know, not every teacher's, I'd say like every teacher's bad, but you know, like just, all it takes is like one bad teacher to like have a gun and like what happens if they shoot like a kid instead of like a culprit or something like that even like I don't know. It's
Yeah.
yeah, just
That's the one thing I never understood. I'm like, how is getting teachers guns the answer? Like, that's just another person with a gun in a room with children.
Look,
And
we all have guns. No one will have guns.
Exactly. So I never understood that. But yeah, speaking of like teacher laws, I almost moved to North Carolina when I was younger.
Really?
Yeah.
No idea.
Like very seriously, we were looking at houses. My dad had like a job lined up, because I think it was like Senate Bill. I forget the number, but I think it was 5. It would have like drastically cut my dad's salary to the point like it just like wasn't
Worth it?
Wasn't worth it. Wasn't really livable.
Yeah.
So we were like very seriously looking at moving to North Carolina. And yeah, we're like one document signature away from doing it, but I think the law failed the bill failed pretty quickly. And we were able to like stay. So that was good because then I came here.
That was good. Yeah. Glad you were staying in Ohio, especially Toledo, the 419.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can never let it down. Speaking of family, what is your relationship like with your family?
It's complicated. I don't talk about my family a lot. I used to have a really good relationship with my parents, but then I had a falling out with my brother. It was kind of built up over years because he had some troubles growing up that kind of directly affected me, but I stuck by him through it, and then one night that was all kind of thrown out, and I don't really talk to him anymore.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's alright. It's like something I've moved on from.
Yeah.
It's something I've for the most part forgiven him for, but it's something like I don't see him as an actively good influence in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just chosen really not to associate them, and that has consequently like really hurt my relationship with my parents because they're quite upset about it. That like they're always pushing me like, go like reconnect with him, like get dinner with him, have lunch, do like things because he lives in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just one, it's a little bit painful to hang out with them because there's very bad memories associated with it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to actively throw myself into that. So that's, yeah, my relationship with my parents has gotten strained because of that, and that's been something that's happened like over the last few years. It doesn't help that I've also like moved away because of that. So when I was younger, my relationship was very close. I would tell my parents everything, and like goof around. And now it's very formal, which is a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Because I want to be close to them like I used to. It's just different. Which I don't love, and I want to work on that. But it's gonna be tough with me moving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like I saw a graph of just a bunch of stuff like relationships. I feel like it's like as you grow, or like when you're with your parents growing up, it's like you're close, and like as you get your teenage angst and all that stuff, and just like life,
Yeah.
you get farther. But then like once you start having like family and all that stuff, you get closer. So.
Yeah, well, it's something I feel very guilty about that our relationship goes so far because they've done so much for me genuinely, and I'll text them or call them every now and then, just being like, or like expressing how much I appreciate it. Like when I was younger, I was a big soccer player. Like I played since I was 3 years old, and throughout that time, like they completely supported me. Like they're driving me to games that were like states away.
Yeah.
Going to tournaments for the weekend, paying for hotels, paying for the team, which. Club soccer is not cheap.
Yeah.
Especially on the teacher salary, it's not something that's like super manageable.
Yeah.
But they were always super supportive of that. They're super supportive when I had my surgeries and like making sure I got the medical care I needed, and they like put me through a private school, which was because of my brother, because they didn't want me to go to the same high school because there was a cop there we had issues with. And they thought my parents thought that cop was going to mess with me.
Yeah.
Because of my brother. Yeah. But they put me through private school, which was more expensive than college was, and they helped put me through college, which so I'm unbelievably appreciative. I'm very upset at myself that like I've let our relationship kind of distance like this, and it's not a bad relationship, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
Which I don't love.
Yeah. Well, time mends all wounds, right?
Yeah. Right. And yeah, I'm trying to actively take steps to kind of reconnect. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
We talk every week, but I also just like, I don't know what to tell them.
Yeah.
Like, because we'll have conversations like, oh, what'd you do this week? I'm like, I'm just not sure you want to know. Like, because I don't think they want to hear, like, I'm going out to bars, like, drinking and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Even though they're very much in the same mentality when they're my age. But, yeah. I'm sure when I start working and, like, really become an adult, I'll have, like, more adult things to share.
No, I feel you with that. My dad called me after work, like, after the first week and second week. It was like, it's weird talking to your parents about work. Like, it makes a lot of sense that, like, you know, but it's like, oh, like, it's like, this is life now. You're, like, almost on the same chapter. Maybe, like, one chapter before, you know, of, like, marriage and kids and stuff, but, like, it's like, this is, like, you're, like, doing the same stuff as them now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've tried talking to my parents about work, but they don't really understand the business world very much, because my dad's a teacher, my mom's a hygienist. So there's just a lot of stuff I'll be, like, explaining them that they don't entirely get, so it's hard to explain the work I'm doing. As well, but like I gave them like general, like, oh, I'm working on a project, like with a team. We're like general, very overview, like what the goal is, like what kind of work I'm doing, if it's like on the computer or whatever.
Trust me, I know the feeling.
Yeah.
I try talking to 59-year-olds about cybersecurity.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But you know, like you said, they're supportive. I'm sure they care, even if they don't understand the fine details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they very much want to be a part of my life. I think they want to hear about the stuff I don't necessarily think to share with them.
Yeah.
Which is something I need to work on, because I've never been a big sharer.
Yeah.
I don't feel the need to, like,
wear your heart on your sleeve kind of thing.
Not even to wear my card, but just like, this is like day-to-day stuff I wouldn't think they care about.
Yeah.
But I think they do, and I don't really recognize that. Like where I went to dinner out. Like, if I went out to a restaurant, like, I don't really think to mention that, because, like, it's just going to dinner, like, who cares?
Yeah.
But I think that's something they, like, want to hear about still, just, like, hear about what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
Which I think is just being a parent. It won't be something I or any of us understand until we are, but...
Yeah. I don't know. It's a tricky life, you know, because, like, there's no, you know, rule book to parenting. You just kind of figure it out as you go. But I'm glad to hear that, you know, you're working on that, and I'm hoping everything ends up okay.
Yeah,
you know, not even okay, better than okay. I hope.
Yeah, it will. I think our relationship will get better as I start to, like, enter this new point in my life.
What would you say is your most unique talent?
I've always said soccer is my biggest talent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's necessarily unique. That was something I just put so much time and energy in. Like I said, I played since I was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
And the reason I had to stop playing was because I did damage my leg. That was just because of overuse.
Yeah.
Because I loved training. I loved putting all of myself into it. So it would be a thing where I would wake up in the morning before school, and I'd either like do a small workout at home, or work out at our gym at our high school, because we had a very good gym there.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a donor. It was like $1 million gym, and like everything was branded, and it was the nicest gym I'll probably ever have access to.
Like better than the RPAC, you think?
Oh, well, that's not better than the RPAC, no. Okay. But like,
for a high school gym, it's like,
for a high school gym, just like having that easy of access, like with nobody else having access to it. Like the RPAC's so big, it's hard to get like space, but there, like it was pretty much just for athletes, which was really cool.
That's really cool.
But anyway, I'd wake up, I'd work out, I'd go to school, and then right after school would be soccer practice, which would be like 3:30 to like 6, and then I would go to my trainers and do like more physical or like just overall physical like enhancement, like just trying to work on the weightlifting, trying to work on speed and all these other things, and then I'd come home, get protein shake and sleep and do the same thing all over again. And then you add like games on top of that, you had tournaments on the weekends. Like it was very draining, and because of that, like I think I got very talented at it, but also it was kind of for nothing, which was a very unfortunate feeling. But I think that's still one of my biggest talents.
I wouldn't say it's for nothing. I mean, you enjoy the entire process, and that's all that matters.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like I absolutely think it was worth it. It was just like the amount of energy I put in. Like sometimes I feel like, well, shit, that sucks.
Yeah.
Because I never got to feel like how good I was. because I was very limited at an early age. Because this injury like started happening like my freshman year.
Really?
Yeah, and it started my like 8th grade year, but it started to get bad my freshman year, and it was something that kept getting misdiagnosed until eventually they figured it out. They told me like I'd have to have surgery, and I still remember I remember like when it was, where and what happened, like when I got that call, and I was just crushed, because I was pretty like aware. I'm like, wow, I'm pretty much done for. But I still think it's like unique talent because everything's still there. Like when I go out to play like casually and like, because I don't get to play a lot because I need to like if I play I have to take a week off and like not be able to do anything because my legs are just gone.
Yeah.
But the times I do, like it's all still there. It's all muscle memory, and I think I see it with a lot of like good soccer players. You see like pro players, even when they're in like 40s or 50s, like you can still play, because it's just like you know how to move, and that never leaves you. I think that's so cool.
You know Derrick Rose's story at all?
No.
So Derrick Rose, from Southside Chicago, goes to school at Memphis, the Bulls, who were supposed to get the 9th overall pick, jump and get the 1st overall pick, get their hometown guy, Derrick Rose. At the age of 21, his 3rd year in the league, becomes the MVP, youngest MVP ever. Yeah. And then just like in a fluke game or game 1 in the postseason, that MVP year, with like 2 minutes to go, they're up 12. He tears his ACL. And then he takes the entire year off, comes back, and then 20 games in the next season tears his Achilles or MCL or whatever, and he just has had a history of knee and leg problems, and it's I don't know, he was so good, but he wasn't even he was just starting, Yeah. So I don't know, kind of reminds me of you. Just I don't think it's thrown away at all. I think you got to see where you were, and goddamn, I know it must hurt to think about what if, but
it's not. I don't even necessarily feel bad about it anymore because now I see it more as a blessing in disguise. Mm-hmm. Because if I hadn't had those injuries, I would have played. I probably would have played college, and I would have played somewhere that probably wasn't Ohio State. Because I was never in talks. I never talked to the Ohio State coach. I probably would have gone somewhere else, done some other thing, not started focusing on school, which I still didn't focus on school as much as I needed to, or not needed to, but I wish I worked harder in school.
Yeah.
And just reprioritize my life, because I think that was something I would have had to done at some point anyway.
Yeah.
Even if I played in college, probably very small chance I would have went pro. Even if I did in the U.S., that's not worth it.
Yeah.
So I'd have to give it up eventually. So why not now? I guess.
It's funny you say that. So Derrick is Derrick Rose's ACL tear, the event that kind of changed his entire life, and never the same player, especially after all the injuries. Kind of went from being the guy at the Bulls to bouncing around teams a little bit. But I read his autobiography recently. He said the ACL tear was the best thing to happen to him, because his entire life changed, and he thinks for the better, because instead of always he wouldn't go out because he'd be I don't deserve to go out. I need to go to the gym. I need to get better. When he won his MVP, he was okay, I don't next thing is the championship. Didn't even get to celebrate his MVP. He said had he continued on that route, he would have either burnt out hard or been a terrible person or just miserable in general.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's something there that I forget what my point was, but I sometimes injuries, like you said, can be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's entirely. My life would be completely different, and I don't know if it's for the better or for the worse. I just know I'm very happy with where my life is right now, so I wouldn't want to change that.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Who's the last person you fell in love with?
This is a tough question for me, because Evan and I were talking about this a little bit last night, mm-hmm. With having feelings for people and blah blah blah. And I haven't had feelings for anybody in a very long time, mm-hmm. Which is a very, very weird feeling.
Just means you're focusing on yourself.
Like,
A little
it's not even necessarily that. It's just, I just haven't. Like, I am focusing on myself. It wasn't like I was actually trying not to. I just haven't. Which I was surprised, because I thought I was going to come to college, and, like, meet a girl and that would be it, right?
Yeah.
Which is why, like, the first few weeks I was, like, so honed in on
Yeah.
Bella, was because I thought, I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, this is going to be me meeting the girl. And I had a little bit of feelings for her, but nothing, like, heavy. But in love is... I know my first love was in 8th grade. At least I think it was my first love. And it was Celine.
Dion?
Yeah. Yeah, Celine Dion. She was a neighbor of one of my best friends, like, throughout middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a point where, like, she liked me, and then I wasn't interested in her, and then I liked her, and we liked each other, but, like, it didn't work out. And then, like, we spent some time apart, and then she got a boyfriend, and then I was very upset. I remember thinking, like, I'm pretty sure I'm in love with this girl. Which is hard to say when you're that young, but
Yeah.
also don't discount feelings. Maybe I was.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was in love, but I had very strong feelings for this girl named Josie in high school. She was one of my best friends. Very similar story of she liked me, I turned her down, not because I didn't like her, because I was moving and I didn't think a relationship would work.
Yeah.
I was moving, I couldn't drive yet, because I don't think I'd gotten my license yet. I think I had like a month or two, which was very short-sighted. But then she ended up getting a boyfriend as well, like moving on. We ended up like losing touch, and I very much regretted that. I was always the one that like acted too late, or like realized feelings too late, because this is one of those things you never realize what you have until it's gone,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was in love with her, but I had very, very strong feelings. Because I tend to get that with like people I'm very close with. I always like become like best friends with the girl before I like develop like, really good feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would have to be it.
Shout out to Celine Dion, though. I can't
Yeah.
believe you met her in 8th grade.
Yeah.
She liked you in 8th grade? I don't know how old Celine Dion is, but it sounds a little bit weird. I'm not gonna lie. What were you doing when you got the first news of COVID?
I remember we talked about it a lot. Like in your guys' room, we're just talking about it as a thing that would never affect us.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. Like looking back on it now, like because it originated in China, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we were talking like, oh, like there's this thing going on with, it was a bat, right?
Yeah.
If there's a bat in China and like there's this disease breaking out, it might come to the U.S. like, and then we might go into like lockdown. Like it was always all these like kind of jokes about like, oh, the world, or like the world's gonna go in shock if this like spreads and becomes a pandemic.
Yeah.
But it was like kind of like joking in the sense like it might actually happen, and then it did, and it was kind of very like I can't believe this is actually happening. You never think there's gonna be like big world impacting events like that.
Yeah.
But I remember exactly where I was when we got the news that we wouldn't be coming to school. I was like sitting on the couch in my living room, and like my mom told me she's like I think OSU just got like canceled, and I started to see like a flood of texts like coming from all you guys saying like, holy shit, like we can't go back, like what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
I just remember that moment really well, 'cause I'm like, this sucks, because I love springtime on campus.
Yeah.
And I was very sad that I missed out on that on sophomore year, because I don't think I really had springtime on campus really as much since then, just because junior year was still like effects of COVID and we weren't living on campus in the senior year. I just never went to class.
Yeah. I am still mad about those 2 months, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I love having my own room. But there's things I miss about the dorms. And, like, I feel like those last 2 months, we never had our last hurrah, you know? Like, we never had, like, one last night of, like, blank, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we just kind of, like, is unceremoniously shunted out. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
But coming back to the whole blessings in disguise thing, like, I try to look at it that way, because I think that's how you should look at things in most lives, always trying to look at the positive side.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, me and Evan and Sean played a lot of video games, right?
Yeah.
And I think because of that, we got very close. Like we've talked about this of just like, I don't, we've like thought, I don't think any of us will ever talk to somebody that consistently ever again. Like, cause it was hours every single night.
Yeah.
Especially with Evan, like it would be like a thing where we would both stay up to like 4 or 6 a.m. He would do his internship, and there was like, occasional times he'd like text me, like, "Hey, I'm in a meeting. Do you like want to run COD?" And we like hop on and we talk, and then we'd hop on later at night. We play Warzone or we play like multiplayer or whatever, and it's just hours of talking, and I think it was really cool.
Yeah.
To be like that familiar with somebody, of just like talking every single day, and it never like got boring.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because I get very bored of video games now.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, like, you know, obviously lockdown COVID was like terrible for like everyone, but like people have found the positives in it, whether that be, you know, reconnecting with their family or, you know, connecting with their friends on video games or like, you know, this, that, the other. I think that like obviously COVID's been terrible, but there's been silver linings to it, you know?
Absolutely. And like I said, it's not, seeing the positive things is not necessarily, like, you have to acknowledge all the bad things that went wrong, all the lives lost and all that, but like you also, you have to see the good things that come out of it, or like, I don't know, stuff like that will start to weigh you down if you don't always try to see the positives.
Yeah. You gotta have that yin yang. Can't have all the bad without good. Can't have all that good without some acknowledgement of the bad.
Exactly.
How do you view your religion?
This is a loaded question for me. I've struggled with this a lot in my life. So growing up, I was raised Lutheran. Was at church every single week type of person. Was very religious growing up. Prayed every night, this type of thing. Of just having a very involved relationship with God. As I got older, so when I was 5 years old, I lost my grandpa. And no, that's all right. I mean, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And that really messed my head because I was very close to them. He lived right next door to us. I would hang out with him most days. So that hit me really, really hard. My parents still talk about it, like seeing me at the funeral, just like how devastated I was. And that really got me started to think about like the afterlife and God and all this, and just like that basic mentality of when you lose somebody, it's just like, why?
Mm-hmm.
And I was very angry, and it started to make me doubt. Like at a very early age, like planted the seed for like this doubt in religion, and also planted like this sense of fear because I very much struggled with the idea of the afterlife, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all that developed over the years, and then I like started to distance myself more and more. Actually, with me getting more involved with soccer, it meant I was away most weekends and wasn't going to church. So that was part of it as well, which is a weird thing to think about. I never really actually thought about that. But so I started to become distant, and then when I went to Catholic school, so it wasn't necessarily my denomination, but same faith. And I had theology classes every year. And it was kind of one of these things of the more I learned, the more questions I had.
Yeah.
And the more unanswered questions I saw there were. And just, that's when the doubt really started like fester.
Yeah.
And I would still consider myself a religious person. But I've disconnected pretty heavily. And I've tried to reconnect. I've tried going to church again. I've tried like just getting more involved like I did when I was little, but it's a weird dynamic because I was always all these questions, but I've kind of reached the point where I realize I think there's a lot of issues with the Catholic Church, because I think if I were to ever get back involved, I would join the Catholic denomination, and I think there's a lot of issues in the Catholic Church that genuinely frustrate me, and I don't understand. That makes it hard to follow that religion. But I see like the way I looked at it's helped me like kind of understand, just seeing maybe maybe God's message is misinterpreted by the people. And and that's what's going on. Everything's just being misinterpreted, and that's what's leading to these issues. God himself is still the same being, and I know he's there, but maybe his message has gotten fumbled over the years. So that's how I try to look at religion. I'm not super religious at this point in my life, but I do want to rediscover that.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot more sense to have questions than have a blind faith. I mean, it means that, like, you know, you're invested enough to, like, you know, want to know more and evenly kind of fix things, like you said, like with problems of the Catholic Church and things like that. And people, and like nothing really, I feel like in life, whether it be religion or anything, is at face value. So I think having doubt and things like that is not only normal, more means that you care a lot, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's only logical to believe there's a God, because I think one of the biggest lessons I took from our theology classes was the first mover theory, of just the idea that something had to cause all of this, right? It didn't happen for nothing. And there's the idea with the Big Bang, but what caused the Big Bang? And all these things are just like something had to do it, and what that isn't exactly clear. And I think heavy evidence points towards God or a God of some sort, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's only logical to believe in a God. And I think that's helped kind of reinforce like my desire to like want to get back involved in religion.
What would you say is your biggest regret?
I've always regretted first semester freshman year, because I was very distracted by Bella Palmer at the time. I wasn't hanging out with all you guys at first, and I very much regret not establishing those relationships like very early on.
Yeah.
Because then like the first like 2-3 weeks I was like so focused on Bella that like I didn't hang out with any like of the other freshmen. I was hanging out with like her friends, and then I got sick, and for months on end, to the point where I was in the hospital for like over a week, and I was just in and out of the hospital for a while, and then I had surgery, and there was just all these things going on. And I very much regretted not getting to know you all sooner, and I still think on that a lot. I'm like, man, I wish I could go back and like reprioritize that. But it all worked out.
Yeah.
At the same time, and I don't know how it would be different. But there's some relationships in my life I'm like, I wish I was closer to this person, and I think I might have been if I like treat that first semester differently.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hear you. I think that just like with like you said, like all that medical stuff, I can't imagine it was just easy to kind of do any of that. But that being said, I'm glad that you are in our life, whether that be first semester, second semester, freshman year. You're here, and we all love you, and we're all glad that you're here now with us.
I appreciate that. Love you too.
Love you. What are you most worried about?
This is something that's been weighing on my mind pretty heavily. I'm very worried about losing touch with everybody. Like obviously moving to California is about as far as I could possibly move.
Yeah.
And we have phones and we can keep in touch with each other, but it's just we're all going to get so caught up in our lives, with work, with relationships, with maybe marriage and kids coming soon, because that's the stage of our life that we're entering, which is a very scary thought.
Yeah, I hope to God it's not me doing that soon.
But it's general idea that we all want to stay in touch, but we get so caught up in life, we may not forget to do that, but it's just something that becomes, I'm trying to think, it's just something I'm worried about. I don't want to lose touch, because I very, very much believe that the people in my life now are the best people I've ever had in my life and probably will ever have. I don't want to lose that, So I'm very worried that I won't be talking to people as much. I'm worried that there's some people I'll never talk to again, which sucks, because I genuinely thought the world of every single person I've met here. So I think that's definitely the biggest thing on my mind with this move.
I agree with you a lot. I think keeping touch. I mean, think about how much harder it was once we moved out of the dorms to talk to some people as much, with Jeff, especially there's things like that. But I don't know. The thing I've learned from my parents is the people that are like close-ish to you, like they still like see their Cleveland friends a good amount, and like obviously their Columbus friends still. Like,
Yeah.
but my dad has some college friends in Cleveland that he's actually going to Cleveland.
Mm.
This weekend to like go hang out with them and like
Yeah.
their family or like their husband wife combo along with my mom, and then even then like the ones that are like more out of town, like whenever like he's traveling, he always makes a point to see them, or when they're in town, he always makes a point to see them, like. And there are just some people that like I don't know, like they're a lot of their really good friends when they were living in Orange County, like they only see every couple of years, but like I've asked them, like is it hard? They're like, yeah, but it almost makes the time when they're here more special.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. I agree. It's not going to be easy, and I don't want to say we're moving on, but I think we'll all still be in touch. I mean,
Yeah.
we're too close at this point not to,
Yeah. I mean, that's something I kind of recognized helped me feel better about it, was just the idea that I'd always want more time.
Yeah.
No matter how much time we had here, I'd always just wish I had a couple more weeks or another semester or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's never gonna happen. You'll
Yeah.
have to move on, and it sucks. But I remember, I barely remember because I was very drunk. But bar crawl was very upset. It kind of like all hit me, and I was just it hit me very hard that day. I just like realizing this is probably one of the last times like. There's a lot of faces I saw that day. I'm like, I'm never gonna see them again.
Yeah.
And it really sucked. Like, I don't know. It's a very tough feeling to deal with.
I kind of see it as one less hurrah with them. Like it's almost like I really want to frame my Bro Crawl shirt, because it's like there are all those names of like all people that cared enough about me to like sign my shirt, whether it be my best friends or like people I like talk to a couple times a year, and I don't know. I think that's gonna be probably one of my most like favorite memories of college. Just going and seeing everyone.
Well, see, that was the craziest part of it. Like, I think we all got so many signatures.
Yeah.
And we saw so many people we knew, but then we all had conversations like, we didn't see everybody.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's been so cool about OSU is like, we know so many people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, our campus is so big, and we all interact so much. It's just, like, you have so many friends on campus.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember seeing so many people that day and be like, this is so cool, I'm running somebody in every single bar. And then I thought back on it, and we all thought back on it, we're like, we saw, like, maybe a third or half the people we knew.
Yeah.
That's so crazy to me.
Yeah. No, it was a wild day. I'm going to try to take the day off next year and do it all over again.
Really?
I feel like it's not going to be as good because it's, like, our grade is like probably the grade I'm definitely most close to, but like I don't know, a whole day of drinking also doesn't really sound too terrible.
Yeah.
What's the hardest thing that's happened to you this past year?
Not necessarily a specific moment, but I think financial struggles have been like a big problem for me. So like losing all that money in Vegas was a very, very hard thing, and I like kind of freaked out about it 'cause I'm like, shit, like I just lost a ton of money. And now I'm very much scrapping to get by. Not because of that. I just was going through my money, like just enjoying going out every weekend, like spending time with you all, but like having fun is expensive.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that. And then I did, and it was too late. And luckily I got that OSU fund, and that kind of kept me afloat for a little bit, but now I'm very not. I very much do not have money right now, which is why I'm door dashing so much. Just because I like didn't see a need to get a job, or I didn't see any like place hiring me for like a month or two. Like, why would you waste money like training somebody when you just hire somebody else that's gonna stay for a few months?
Yeah.
But that's like all in the mentality of like in a month and a half, I'm not gonna have like money, well, that big of money worries anymore. Like, I'll have a steady job, and things will be a little bit tight in California, just because everything's so expensive there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's worth it, because, like, I'm young, this is the time to travel, it's a fun place to be, from what I've heard. So, like, it's gonna be worth it, but I'm very looking forward to not having to worry about money. I was talking to Evan about this last night, because the thing with having money I'm most excited for is to be able to like eat consistently.
Yeah.
Because I do not eat as well as I should. Not in terms of like quality, but just quantity. I like don't eat consistently at all, and it's been because of money for the most part. But like I'm still not at the weight I was in high school, which is just sucks because it's not healthy for me.
Yeah.
And that's been a conversation I've had with my doctor. And it's something I've been trying to work on, but it's tough when you don't have money to buy food. So I'm very much looking forward to getting money to buy food, eat consistently, get the weight back on, start working out again, get in shape again as best I can, like with the leg injuries, and just like really get back to like looking, which is weird to say, like looking like myself, but just like
More feeling like yourself.
feeling like myself, yeah. 'Cause I
Yeah.
felt very not, even though this is what I've been like for like 4 years now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, you know, well, money is meant to be spent, but at the same time, like, sometimes we go to short North bars. I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, it is.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like when we went to rooftops or Lincoln Social Rooftop, I was like, this is a fun place, but like, oh my god, I don't understand. Like,
Yeah. Well,
Jesus.
I've always been a very type of person where I would enjoy just like staying in, having drinks with friends, having good conversation.
I completely agree.
But I also see the fun side of like going out to bars because then you see people you know, and
Yeah.
you don't necessarily need to go to the short north to see people you know. In fact, I think you see less people. But it's cool to like see people out and about, and it's cool to socialize with people you don't know. And I like that aspect of bars. I like getting to know new people, or like talking
Yeah.
to people you haven't caught up with in a while. But at the same time, like we could do that out, or we could do that Dollar Well night.
We literally did that outer last night.
Exactly. That was one of my weirder experiences of the outer. It was just empty and just people I did not expect to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not like I won't like. It's not like I was like mad about going out.
Yeah.
I never even like. It was never even like a consideration of like, oh, can we do something else? I'm like, no, let's just go have fun. Like I was never mad about going to the Short North or any of those bars. Like I loved doing that, and it was fun. It was just something that I realized very late. I'm like, oh, that had a bigger hit than I thought. Because I have a very big problem of when I have a few drinks, I will buy everybody drinks.
Me, you, and Evan all have that problem. It's terrible.
And I end up spending way more money on other people than I do on myself, which is just dangerous. And that, I think that was a big part of why I lost so much money so quickly. Which is I'd be talking to a stranger, like, while I'm getting a drink, I'm like, oh, hey, do you want one? So I'm made. Or I'd be friends and like, oh, do you guys want to do a round? And like, yeah, it's dangerous.
Yeah, but I don't know. At the same point, you have your entire life to save.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, we're young. We might as well enjoy our livers while we still have them before, like, one beer takes us into hangover zone.
Well, see, that's the one thing that's, like, kind of reassured me with this whole money thing was, like, I don't regret any of the money I spent. Like, I would... Like, I remember Ben was, like, getting on me at... Like, we were out for Josh's birthday about, because I was like wearing sandals. He's like, why don't you just like buy a new pair of sandals? I'm like, I don't have the money for it right now to like put money. He's like, well, you're like spending money on food, you're spending money on drinks. I'm like, yeah, but like, that's with people. Like, I will absolutely spend all my money to like spend it with people, to be spent on people. Like, if I'm spending money going out to dinner with our friends, I don't regret that whatsoever. Like, that is worth it 1,000%. I would go broke again doing that.
Yeah.
I would have, like, because the opposite would be not going out, not having time with your friends, and that's just not worth it. Like, money's, as stressed as situations put me in, I don't regret spending all my money just to spend time with friends.
What's something that made you laugh really hard recently?
I know a lot of our biggest laughs have either come in the living room or like, sorry to go far back, but like back in your guys' like hangout room sophomore year. I remember so many times just laughing about the dumbest shit. And I remember like a few times with Hud in there where like we weren't necessarily sober and like talking about the dumbest shit. Like I remember him one time telling me about like his childhood where he like rode a bus and like the bus driver like asked him his name or something and just it was like the dumbest story, but like I just remember laughing for like 10 minutes and just being uncontrollably. And there was another time we were like out on the porch, again, not so sober, and he was telling me about like the time he convinced a guy that a cheesecake was a pie. And it's just like small like stuff that like that's always what's made me. It's just like the dumb stuff that like you shouldn't be laughing at, but you're laughing because you're laughing at it. And it just like escalates. And there's been so many small moments like that. I only think of Hudson because like there's so many like small stories he'll tell me where we just like lose it laughing for no reason.
Yeah.
But it's happened so much. Like there's be dumb shit happening. Like with you guys with the 172.
One house, 7 houses, 2 houses.
Exactly. It's like it's just small jokes that like should it be funny and go along as long as they do, but like they do, and it's funny because of that. So it's just like it's things like that. There's no specific moment, and it's hard to remember because a lot of them do involve not being sober. But it's just stuff like that, and it's stuff I'm very much gonna miss. But yeah, there's no specific moment that comes to mind.
No worries. It's just the culmination of all the little moments, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Tracy Morgan has like this one joke where he's like, you know what this is?
Yeah.
A mating call. And like he would literally like say that or like make that joke every morning when they were making 30 Rock, and I first was like, it's kind of funny, and then it was like, why do you keep making this joke? And it's like not funny because like, but then eventually like you just hear it enough that it's like hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, like something about repetition of like the same joke over and over again like can sometimes, I don't know how it does it, but like somehow gives it a life of its own. Who is your hero?
This is tough for me because I've actually thought about this. Like I don't think I really ever had a hero.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't ever think I had somebody in my life that I thought like, wow, this is like solid like role model. Not to say like I didn't have role models in my life, but I never like fully. That's like, there's people like that I look at for different reasons and be like, wow, that's really incredible. Like a lot of my friends, like I look at them like, wow, I wish like I would be more like that. And I think that's one of the most fantastic things about our friend group is that I think we've all become better, better versions of ourselves, and just help each other grow so much. So like not to be cheesy or anything, but genuinely, I think like a lot of our friend group, like I see them as like heroes in the sense of just a role model to like look up to, and that's helped me grow so much. But then it'll come down to like some athletes are like a Messi, and like I see the struggles he went to because he had an issue with like he was too small and he had like just like I forget, it was like some sort of issue where he just wasn't growing. When he was a child, and seeing like him get past that to become the best player in the world despite his size, like he's a very short guy, but just untouchable on the field, and like overcome those obstacles. So like it's never been like one person. It's like appreciating different attributes in people for different situations and just taking all those and culminating it into like
What is your favorite tradition?
Growing up, my family used to be a lot closer. Well, my extended family used to be a lot closer than they are now. So my answer when I was younger had to be like Christmas, Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving we go to my aunt's every year, and have this big family Thanksgiving. We'll bring dishes, very like classical family, and that went away as I grew up, because my aunt ended up passing away, and there was some complications with that ended up like kind of hurting the rest of the family, so now we don't do Thanksgiving anymore, which very much bums me out.
I'm sorry.
I mean, it's alright, that's life, like things will happen. But it was the same thing with Christmas, where I very much enjoyed the family getting together and exchanging gifts, and now we just don't do that. Like, we'll have a couple cousins that will come over, and like some that'll stop by, but it's something I really miss, and something I really, in the future, like, if I'm like lucky enough to have kids, I want to like really prioritize is having those good family moments, because I miss those so much. So I think that would be traditions that like don't happen anymore that I wish they did, because it's very, very wholesome, like warm memories. More recently though, I think I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Like, I love the end of our nights of like going out, and like when we come back and we have just a tradition of always like ordering DoorDash or something. And those are like honestly some of my favorite parts of like when we go out.
Yeah.
It's just like when we all come back, very less than sober, and like are just having goofy conversations, and this that tradition of getting DoorDash, watching a movie, or doing whatever. And I don't even know if it's necessarily a tradition, but it's just become a habit at this point, just something we always do. It's like instinctively like, okay. Yeah. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day, so it's very much on my mind, but I love those moments.
What's the best thing that's happened to you in this past month?
This has been a very uneventful month for me. I've been doing literally nothing, partially because I'm never going to have time to do nothing.
Yeah.
Again, like with jobs and that. I was talking to you about this the other day. I'm very not looking forward to plan fun.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to just enjoy doing nothing. So this month has been very uneventful for me, but I guess the best thing was getting an apartment. Because I was very worried about, because apartments are expensive in LA.
Yeah.
Very, very expensive. And I'm still not spending what I would like to on an apartment, and it's not necessarily what I wanted. It's a studio, it's not a bedroom, but it's like, it's a nice place, it's clean, which is really all I wanted. It's got like security, it's got good reviews, and like I was very happy just like have that weight off my shoulders of like looking for a place, because we've been talking about this, like I had no idea what I was doing, like none whatsoever. I'm still like, some small part of me is expecting to like get there, and there's just no apartment building whatsoever. It was just like all a ruse.
Yeah.
And whoever the guy I was talking to, that's just what he does. He just scams people to think there's an apartment when there isn't. But that's just a very big weight to have off my shoulders, and I'm very happy with the place I have.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I haven't really felt like I've had a direction these past 4 years. In the sense that, like, I told you, like, earlier that I'm not happy with how little effort I put into school. Like, I did well enough, but, like, I didn't really put a lot of effort in that. And that really bothered me until, like, I've been thinking a lot recently. I did that because I had no direction of, like, where I was going. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no idea where I wanted to go. And it's hard to be motivated in that space. So I realized that's why I was slacking so much. But like the past few weeks, like as I've been starting to like get documents over my work, if it was like signing apartments, I'm like I have a direction, and it was like good. Like when we were over your house the other day, like I woke up pretty early because I can't sleep if there's like sunlight coming through.
Yeah.
So I like woke up pretty early and I started like working on stuff, and then I just had such a productive day. I'm like, this feels good to like be working towards something.
Yeah.
So and the apartment like felt very much the same way. I'm like finally like moving towards something. That's a very like good feeling to have, because I felt kind of like just wandering these past 4 years.
Yeah.
And now I finally have direction. I know where I'm going. I know like what work I'm doing. It's a very good feeling to have it figured out.
Yeah. I'm excited to see directed D-HUD, you know? Which direction will you go? One direction, 2 directions? 3 directions? That would be great.
Yeah.
It kind of leads into my next question of where do you see yourself going in the next 5 years, both personally and professionally?
Yeah. So it's funny. I said that I feel like I do have direction now.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have no idea what the next 5 years are going to look like.
None of us do, honestly.
I don't know if I'm going to stay in California, because I've never lived there. I don't know if I'll like it. I'm assuming I will.
Yeah.
But there's not to say that I won't miss being close to friends. It's not to say like I won't meet a girl, like realize we need to like move somewhere else, like start a family, all of that. Like,
yeah.
Because I very much wouldn't be opposed to doing that in the next 5 years. But I just don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm going to like my job, even though I expect to, because I've heard very good things about just the culture and the environment. But I could see myself literally going in any direction. Of maybe I go to California for a year and then I move back, or maybe I go there and I love it and I stay there. And it's just, I have that sense of direction of like, I have something to do, but it's like, it's a direction in the sense it's a step the next direction. So I took one step this way,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know which way the next step's going to go. But it's just nice to be moving forward.
Yeah.
Even though, like, I have no idea which direction we go after that. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
That I have no idea, and it's a very, like, this is, I was talking about somebody the other day, this is the most uncertain point in my life I've ever had. It's a new place, it's a new job, it's a new environment of not being in school, not being constantly surrounded by people. It's socially, I'm uncertain of like how I'm gonna like meet people, because I'm very curious as to how people with full-time jobs like make friends. Yeah. Like I don't have no idea how to make friends outside of school, because that's all we've known for 16 years.
Yeah.
And there's just so many uncertain things, and it really worried me at first. But then I kind of like started seeing a new light, which is like with this whole direction thing. I'm like at least I'm moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Like I have something to look forward to, and that mentality is definitely like changed this like worriedness about all the uncertainties. But yeah, 5 years, I have no idea.
Yeah. I am excited for you out there, because I think that with this blank slate that you're getting, like Derek Huddleston 2.0 California edition, or whether you be in state in California or not, I think in 5 years, it's gonna be crazy. I mean, it's all gonna be crazy in 5 years. While all of us, like Adam's gonna like be finishing up school, or Evan will still be working 90 hours a week. I don't know. It's the future. I have no idea. Like, I think that anyone that has like a life plan of like, you know, I'm gonna do this then, this then, this then, like, is either miserable or is just bullshitting. Because I think that like, you can have an idea of what you're gonna be doing, but no one knows for certain.
Like we talked a little bit about the whole idea of planned fun.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like, even outside of fun, I don't want to have a plan.
Yeah.
I'm very excited with the prospect of my life could really go in any direction. I don't want to have everything figured out right now, because I'm very much still figuring out who I am.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still figuring out what I like in work. I'm still figuring out like what I like about living location. Still figuring out like relationship stuff and all these things. Like, I don't want to have that planned out, because I'm not ready to.
Yeah.
I'd rather just like unfold and be pleasantly surprised by like the good things that come into my life, rather than try to fixate it on what I want my plan to be. Because if it deviates at all, that'd be a major stressor for me.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just like take it as it comes and then like enjoy it.
I agree. I think it's so much easier to go with the flow than like try to, like in life, than try to like be so regimented.
Yeah.
For like long-term stuff.
Because I fully believe that no matter where you end up, that was always what was intended to you.
Yeah.
Intended for you. Like, I think it's like more of a deterministic ideology of just believing that like you're on your path, and even if it's for better or for worse, that was what was intended. And even if there's bad stuff that happens, like it's gonna be for a purpose. Like we were talking about seeing the good in bad situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, I just completely blanked on what I was gonna say.
No worries. Did that earlier too.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just, it's exciting to not have everything figured out.
Yeah.
You don't know what's gonna happen next, and there's a little bit of fear in that, but also like
The pleasant surprises that you're not gonna expect.
Well, not even that. It's like the fear is kind of exciting. It's kind of like an adrenaline junkie type of thing of going skydiving. Like, yeah, you're afraid, but like, it's good that you're afraid, because that means like it's something that's worth it, and it's like something that you're excited about or whatever. It's just that fear is exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. What do you want to have done by the next time we film?
I know I want to visit everybody. I don't necessarily know I'll have the money for that to be flying around, but I know I'll be traveling for work.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it'll overlap. I do want to visit everybody in their individual cities, because I want to, like, I still want to be a part of everybody's lives. I also want to see the new like situation they've become a part of, and like see what's currently shaping them, because I think it's going to be so interesting. that's just really the one thing I want to do, just because I want to stay in touch, but also just because it's going to be cool to like see people in their element, because we're all taking a step towards things that's very much in our element, like with Evan going to Key Bank, and with Adam like going to school in St. Louis. Like, these are all things we've worked for 4 years, and we're finally starting to see the payoff.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool, and I want to like see how that starts to shape us.
So that ends the conversational part of this interview or podcast or whatever. I'm still trying to figure out what this is called, honestly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move into our exit questions. These are just a bunch of rapid fire questions, just whatever comes first to your mind. If you need time to think about it, go ahead, but try not to like try not to overthink anything. So this is a moment in the mind of Derek Huddleston.
Okay.
What's a song that's been stuck in your head recently?
Too Late by the Happy Fits.
Yeah.
I've been listening to the song a lot.
Gotcha. What's one of your favorite quotes or lyrics?
There's one by Hemingway I like about true nobility not being superior to your, I think it's peers, but being superior to your former self.
Mm-hmm.
I've always liked that one.
Well, that was.
I think it's a better mentality about one, not necessarily like superiority, but just like this overall self-image. Like, I think too many people compare themselves to one another and are disappointed. Maybe they're not at the point they want to be at, but they're looking down on themselves because somebody else is. Like, I remember I was a little bit stressed with when people like had their job offers and were secured. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I know it's supposed to be rapid fire, but
no worries.
But like, I had the job offers and I was still like working on it, and it was something I chose to do. But I was comparing myself to other people at first. But I'm like, this is my own path. I'm like, as long as like I figure out what's best for me, like that's all that matters. It doesn't matter where everybody else is, because that's their thing. That's what's good, right for them. That's what they were like set out to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I've always really liked that quote of just like, look at your former self, not look at everybody else when you're seeing how you've grown.
Yeah. I'm gonna use that also. I've struggled with that with a little bit. I remember sophomore year when everyone was getting their internships and like I wasn't like getting anything. I remember being like really happy for people. I was like, damn, like you're like behind, like you're not doing anything. But like it's like I want to be happy for people and like I am, but it's like, you know, you got all worried about yourself. But yeah, I'm gonna use that because one of my life mottos is always like there's always room for improvement. So
yeah,
as long as you're beating your past self, that's all that matters.
Exactly. And I don't think it's my favorite. That's just the first one that came to mind. There's so many better ones I just can't think of about just like appreciating life that just I can't think of.
No worries.
Oh.
This one's gonna be hard for you too. What's the best show or movie you've seen in the past month?
So obviously we saw Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was very good. I think everybody took a different message from that. And for me, it was very much a message of like finding, like with all the bad things going on, still finding like good moments. Sorry, I keep on the rapid fire, I keep going into it, but
don't even worry about it.
I really enjoyed that, but I also really enjoyed the last episode to Midnight Gospel. And we were talking about that a little bit about that last night. That was just such a good episode, and it had a very good message. It was weird. Like, there's been some TV shows and some movies I've watched. Like, I've talked about how Rivals one of them, where it, like, genuinely, like, made me feel better about, like, existential shit, about life shit, about, like, and just had an impact on my life, which is really weird for a show or a movie to do that, but it's also not. So those two, I think, are big ones.
Okay. What's the best thing you binged recently?
Binged?
Yeah.
Attack on Titan.
Ooh, I need to watch that.
I've been binging the hell out of that. And I've never watched an anime before. But my roommate was like pushing me. He's like, you gotta watch it. Like, I was never an anime person either, and I'm still not, but this show is just like good. I've been binging that. That show is addicting, because it was very much in the same vein of like Game of Thrones, where like anybody could die ever.
Yeah.
At least like the first few seasons. I'm feeling a little bit of plot armor now.
Yeah.
But I think that's only setting up for like devastation later on.
I've seen
so good.
I've seen a couple of video essays on like their writing and like how they build characters and stuff, as well as like pacing and like I don't know, like it's like the only show where like video essays have made me like really really want to watch instead of be like, oh, that sounds cool. Like
Yeah.
I'm glad I got that out of it, but like
Yeah.
yeah. What's the best book you've read recently?
I'm rereading a lot of stuff right now. I'm rereading Frankenstein. Rereading Story of Your Life and Others. So it's like books I've read before. I'm trying to read a book Hudson gave me. It's about like consciousness. But I'm struggling to like get through a book right now because I like read a little bit and I'm like I want to like continue the other book and I keep bouncing back around day to day and I can't like finish one book. But I think The Old Man and the Sea is one of the only books I've actually finished because it was shorter, and I just love that book. It's a very sunny book, which is in my mind, which is kind of hard to explain.
It's like comforting.
Not necessarily comforting, but just like I like the imagery in it, and like the imagery in it is very, okay. I guess it is comforting, but it's like this. Yeah, it's hard to explain.
Yeah. What's your most current or most recent job?
Most current job is door dashing. Although if you want to count my job in California, because I am like signing papers and doing like all the onboarding stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, door dashing, which I both love and hate. Like I love doing it because I love driving around listening to music, but I hate it when people don't tip.
Yeah.
Because people do not tip, and it sucks, and it breaks my heart. But then some people do, and it absolutely makes my day. I had one nice guy yesterday to be $15 for a pizza order.
Yeah.
And she's like so cool. And people can be so sweet.
Do you want kids, and if so, how many?
I absolutely want kids. That is something in my life that's like I talked about no direction, right? Or like no real like goals, and that's kind of made me like have a lack of motivation. But one thing I've always wanted in my life, which is hard to find motivation in, because it's like not necessarily something you work towards. Because I don't think. Anyway, I've always wanted to have kids. I've always wanted to have a daughter, specifically. I don't know why. I think partially because my cousin Matt, he's another one that's been like a role model in my life. He has a daughter, and their relationship is amazing. Because he had his daughter when, because he moved when I was like very young.
Yeah.
And he had his daughter, and he kind of got stuck. Well, not stuck. Stuck's a very bad word because he loves being there, because that's where his daughter is. But her mother wanted to stay there, and he wanted to be there, so they could both have their parents in the same place.
Yeah.
Right. And few times I've seen him over the last 10 years, their relationship is just amazing. So I think it's where the foundation came from. But I just always wanted to have a daughter, and I don't know. Kids are freaking awesome. Like kids are so sweet. They're just pure innocence of just like good people, and they can completely be molded in any direction. Like occasionally I'm door dashing. Like the other day, I was door dashing, and like as I was walking up with the pizza, like there's this little girl in the window was like waving at me, she wasn't waving. I waved at her because she was like sitting there like kind of like excited about the pizza. I like waved her, like gave her a smile, and she like got so excited. And I think it's because also like, sorry, a little side note, but like I think kids right now because of COVID are like so socially disadvantaged. Like they don't know how to interact with one another.
Yeah.
Sorry, another side note. My other cousin, he's dating a girl now that has a son, and I remember seeing him like interact at one of our family events with like the other kids. He was so excited, and he hasn't interacted with other kids, and I think it sucks. But back to it, I very much want to have a daughter. If I had a daughter, I would be fine if that was it. It very much depends on what my wife would want as well. But if I have a son, I'd want to try again to have a daughter. But there's no real. I think like 2 is a very good number. If I had a daughter and son, I think it would be ideal. But I would have 3 kids. But I don't think I'd go past 4.
No, I understand it. Kids are expensive and
Yeah.
a lot, but the little ones will enjoy.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite spot to eat nearby, whether it be sit down or fast food?
Because I very much enjoy like eating out on my porch. or like out of my roof. Like occasionally I'll like get some mango, like a little lime juice and like eat that on my roof. I love doing that. But favorite spot to eat, I love Bud Dairy.
Bud Dairy, great answer. Honestly, so much variety there.
Bud Dairy is so fantastic. That chicken sandwich, I still think is the best chicken sandwich I've had in my entire life.
What the Cluck is ridiculous. Or is it Cluck Norris or what the? No, it's Cluck
I
Norris.
think it's Cluck Norris,
Yeah, no, what the Cluck is on DoorDash. That's the one that's always open.
Yeah.
What's something you think is underrated?
Underrated?
Yeah.
So many movies. So many movies. I've been telling you, you need to watch Chef. And I think that was underrated at first, but I think it's finally got a following where now it's very appreciated. So I don't know if I can say it's underrated anymore. About Time is another underrated movie. That's has a very good message about appreciating every single little moment in life. And taking it in for all it's worth, because we only have one life. I think it's a really, really beautiful message. That was one that was kind of marketed as a rom-com, and it is for like a third of the movie.
Yeah.
And the rest is just about
time.
It's about time. Yeah. It's just appreciating the time you have, and like, oh, great movie. I'd say mango with lime juice. I need to put more people on that wave.
Gonna have to try that later today.
It's a great midday sunny snack.
Honestly, it sounds like you're on a beach almost, like
Yeah.
a mango and some lime.
Yeah, throw some strawberries in there, throw some blueberries, throw some whatever. Kiwi goes well. Any fruit you want, just make a fruit medley. A little lime juice on top. That's underrated.
That's delicious. What's your biggest hot take?
I don't know if it's necessarily a hot take, but it's just something we were talking about recently. I fully believe dragons are real.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard this.
Yeah, I fully believe dragons are real. And I'm kidding, but I'm also not.
Yeah.
Because I know it's ridiculous. But also, like, if you've ever, like, looked at, like, different cultures, like, dragons, like, there's so many different ancient cultures that have dragons with no contact with one another. And they do vary in how they appear, but it's the general, like, concept. And I think it's so interesting. Like, how do they all have the same idea? Unless they existed.
Excuse me. I wonder if, like, dinosaurs were, like, or if, like, dragons almost,
Yeah.
Could be. I've never thought of dragons like a prehistorical thing. It's interesting. Or even.
I don't even necessarily know that they're fire breathing.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, just some sort of dragon-like creature.
I also very much love How to Train Your Dragon and would love to ride a dragon, so that's maybe where it's motivated, but.
Yeah. No.
Something I've always believed.
It's a banger of a trilogy. Favorite quality about yourself?
So I think both the strength and I would view it as a strength and a weakness is coming back to the idea of like appreciating every little moment. It's something that it's a strength where I actively try to work towards it. So it's something I want to work towards, but it's a weakness in the sense that sometimes I forget to do it. Or sometimes like I just get distracted. But I really like that I want to appreciate every moment. And I'm working towards like doing that. Like I've told you about like my post-its wall. Where like I write like one good thing from that day, or like one thing that stood out, or just like a funny story, just something that made me smile, or something that made my day. And there's so many random things in that of just like it was just like just to list off a few examples, like people in our lives. So, like it was going on a walk with Sophia and like talking about life. It was seeing Hudson and McKenna interact on the couch and just being like the cute adorable couple that they are.
Yeah.
It's playing video games with Evan, like late nights, sitting out on the porch with you, just like having a conversation. It's probably like this right now, like this will like go on. It's just like appreciating like every single moment, just like taking stock of it, like literally with like post-its, just so like it's right across from my bed. So every morning I wake up, I see it, and every time I go to sleep, I see it. So I'm constantly thinking like, okay, like think about these little moments. Still, like don't let them go by unnoticed.
Yeah, I love that. I don't think you've ever told me about the post-it notes. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's something I've actually like been forgetting to keep up with, partially because in the back of my mind I'm thinking I'm moving and I'm gonna have to throw all these out anyway. But it is something I'm gonna pick back up when I move to California, and I'm gonna start out by like writing all the stuff I can remember off the top of my head, or just like some of my favorite moments from college. Just I'm like constantly like thinking back on that, not forgetting that. I think it was interesting. I don't remember what movie it was, but I was watching a movie where it was the exact opposite with Post-its. Of he was writing down all the bad things, like all the bad thoughts going through his head, and I've always been the type of person to believe when you feed into the negative energy, not in the sense that you're. I'm trying to think. You don't necessarily want to avoid the negative stuff, right? And ignore it, because it's not healthy to do that.
Yeah.
But you feed into it in the sense that you let yourself dwell on it, and you let yourself take hold of you. And I don't think that's good. And I think that's what that guy was doing. And I thought like a much better idea would be focus on the good stuff. Because those, it's so much easier to remember the bad things.
Yeah.
Like they weigh so much more on our psyche, but the little things are just, it's like the stuff you don't appreciate until like, you like really think about it. You're like, wow, this is like good. Like, I mean, just like I try to like every day and like just be like, wow, this is a beautiful morning. Just like when I was walking, I'm like, this is a beautiful morning. Like just really like look around, appreciate the green, appreciate the sun, and like I think just doing that is so much more healthy than like focusing on the bad stuff. Like I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited. I want to go to your house before you leave now to see all these Post-it notes.
Yeah. Some of them started to fall off, and I started to take some down as I'm like getting ready to move. My room's also a mess right now.
That's alright. It's if it wasn't for the podcast, my room would be a mess right now too. What's your favorite outfit?
Outfit?
Yeah.
Actually, I really like these shorts. That would last night the shorts I was wearing. I always really liked those. And then there's like a hole in the back that I like felt. It was like a hole like this big where like it was showing my underwear. And like I like pulled on a little bit. I'm like, is this like gonna? And then it, like open up more. I'm like, fuck. I like pulled in. Now they're ruined.
Damn.
So I really liked those shorts. I really like Henleys. Henleys are like my favorite things to wear.
Yeah.
They're very comfy. So this one especially is very comfy.
Yeah, I like the color of it too.
Thank you. I've been really liking this color lately. Like I got my shoes like that. I have a pair of shorts like that. This like kind of maroon, salmon-ish red. I really like. So I guess that color is something in my outfits I've been really enjoying. I also love a good short sleeve button up.
So vibe.
Yeah.
What's your biggest hobby?
Biggest hobby? Probably Valorant at the moment. But I also, this is something I want to get back into my hobbies when I move to California. Like I used to be a very big rock climber. And I used to be a big surfer, but both those are things like I haven't done since I had surgery. So I don't know if I'll still be able to do this. I anticipate I will because they're not too physically taxing. They are, but like not in the ways that would affect me. Right? Yeah. Because most of my stuff stems from like running and like impact. So I'm very much excited to get back in those hobbies. I want to teach myself piano. Like one of my first purchases is going to be a keyboard. I'm going to do the same thing with the guitar. Ukulele, like I want to pick up the hobbies like that I lost sight of.
Like that. You're stuck on a deserted island and you can only bring one thing. What are you bringing?
Just talking about like first thing that comes to mind is surfboard, so I can like read and learn how to surf. I mean, I think that'd just be fun.
Yeah.
Chess set would be fun because that's another thing, another hobby I want to like get into a bit more. But then I would only be able to play them against myself, which would be so boring.
Yeah.
Because I've tried that before, but I always end up favoring like one board and playing it differently.
Yeah.
Like, it's very hard to play like.
It's not as exciting as you think it'd be.
No, not at all. Plus, I'd want a board that like spins if I do that, so I could be like.
Just sit down in one place, not have to like get up.
Well, I just always thought that was cool. I don't know if I've like seen it in movies or TV shows, but I thought that was like the fanciest thing to like move a chess piece and they spin and they like you're playing against yourself constantly. I don't know. But. Yeah, I guess it's the surfboard then. That'd be the answer since we were talking about it.
Who are your best friends?
All of you guys in this house. I think one of the funniest things over these last 2 years is the amount of people that thought I lived here. But it's like I was very cognizant, like as early as like New Year's Eve last year, not this most recent New Year's Eve, but like the one, I'm like I only have, like, this is my last full year with everybody. That's what I was thinking. Or like 2022 to like 2023, like type of full year, right? January to December.
Yeah.
I think this is the last complete year I'm gonna have everybody. I'm like, I want to spend as much time with you all as I can, and it very much comes back to that, like what I was talking about. Like, I fully believe the people in my life right now are the best people I've ever had in my life and will ever have. So I'm like, and it comes back to taking in those moments of like appreciating every little when we have them. So I won't, like, whenever there's a chance to hang out, I'm like, I want to like hang out because I enjoy being with you guys. So yeah, absolutely, you guys are all my best friends.
You're my best friend too. One of them, I guess, because it's, I don't know, the whole concept of or best friends, when best implies one, but I'm not going to get that rant.
Yeah.
What's something that you have to do every day?
I mean, just general hygiene stuff, but like we don't, that's too safe an answer, like brushing your teeth. And,
Yeah, like, not like that, you know, like.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'd like to go outside every day. I feel like it's very like, yeah, you have to go outside to do anything, but like I like to go outside and like just be for like a little bit and just like sit outside, soak in the sun, not necessarily like not reading a book, not on my phone, just like taking a little bit of time to do nothing and just like look around, appreciate my situation that I'm in, like actively, not necessarily like where I am at the current moment, like just by myself sitting outside, but like being aware of all my friends that are like in Columbus, the fact that I have a job, the fact that I'm moving to California, all the things that I'm grateful for, like sitting outside and just like taking it all in.
Yeah, I like that. What's your proudest accomplishment?
That's something I've actually struggled with a little bit because I've never really. This comes back to the lack of direction thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really proud when I graduated.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, yeah, okay, like you should have graduated, like good job for doing what you're supposed to do. It was kind of like that kind of feeling because, like I said, I don't feel like I worked my hardest, and I regret that. And I started to really regret that this last semester. Like I kind of wasted my time educationally here, which not in the sense like I enjoyed that, like I prioritized friends over classes a lot of times, so I don't regret that aspect at all. Just the times I could be putting towards my class that I didn't, I regret doing that. So like I wasn't proud when I graduated high school or college because those are the things like I'm supposed to do.
I agree. I felt the exact same way.
And that's just a very unfortunate feeling because I feel like there are big achievements, like objectively, and I'm very proud of all my friends.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have no pride in myself for graduating. Like you should have, like, good on you.
Yeah.
But like, and I felt the same way about my job. Like I was excited first because I'm like, it's more of an excitement just like not have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
And that lasted for like a day, and then I was like, well, yeah, you had to get a job. And like that's what you're supposed to do. Like, good job doing what you're supposed to do. And I think it's a bad mentality that I need to work on.
Yeah.
Like seeing more pride in my achievements. But the thing I'm proudest about, that's a tough one, man. I don't know. Because I'm trying to think of like a single achievement. Because there's a lot of things in my life that I'm proud of that just like. I guess it would be the job. Not purely for the job aspect, but the fact that I am taking a risk. And like moving to a far place in an unfamiliar situation. Because when I had my internship for the summer, I like rejected the full-time offer, or I rejected the process for the full-time offer. I never interviewed for it because I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Because it was a very safe job.
Yeah.
It was, not that there's anything being wrong in Ohio, but it was in Ohio, and I'd always wanted to move away from Ohio, like explore things while I was young, but I'm like, I'm in an internship that's going to get me stuck doing what I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm proud in the sense that, like, I am pursuing, like, things I want to do, even though they're not completely fleshed out because I don't know what I want to do, but it's just, I'm taking a risk. I'm proud of that. I'm taking a risk.
It's also, I'm proud of you for taking that risk too.
Thank
What's something you want to own?
I've always wanted a Camaro. I don't know, ever since I was young, I just love that car.
Mm.
I don't know that I'll ever do that, right? Because I feel like it's also a very easy, like, dream car to have. Like, they're not too expensive.
Yeah.
Like, they are, but they aren't.
Yeah.
Compared to, like, some other dream cars you could have.
A Porsche or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Porsche, like McLaren, like, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to have... I've always wanted to have a car. I also want to have a good computer set up. I'm very excited to have, like, good internet. Because, like, I have good internet now, but I've been talking about this at Evan a lot. I'm like, I don't know how much I need, but I just want the most. Even if, like, it's, like, I'm not taking full advantage.
Yeah.
But, like, I just want to have good, consistent connection.
Be able to download the entirety of Warzone in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. And just, like, because I enjoy playing video games, and, like, I'm sure I will a lot. Like, after coming home from work, I'll be tired and I honestly want to go out every day.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I'll be playing video games. So I'm excited to, like, have internet that's, like, good.
Yeah.
Which is a very weird thing, but yeah.
What do you think the price of gas will be by the next time we film?
Where? Because in California, it's like $3 more than anywhere else.
Yeah, it's true. Let's say Ohio, just to be safe.
I hope to God it's under $4.
Yeah, me too.
But low expectations. Obviously, we've been talking about, like, economic conditions recently. And the state of the economy is in a very scary place right now. We're bubbling on 3 major assets that could lead to financial crisis because the COVID situation wasn't handled the absolute best it could, but it's hard to say that anybody could.
Yeah.
So I hope that I hope the prices will stop rising and gas will, like, mellow out, but let's hope below $4.
Yeah. Where do you want to visit next?
Where I want to visit? I very much want to go to Europe. I was very bummed I couldn't go on that trip, and I know you were too. Not only because, like, we're missing out going with our friends, but I've just always wanted to go to Europe.
It looks beautiful. All the history there too. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I very much want to go to Europe. Specific countries in mind would obviously be France, Italy, England. Just, like, all the like, I just want to see the world, really. I want to see everything I possibly can, and that's. I've been thinking about this. Like, I'm very upset that we have to pay to, like, live our life how we want to.
Yeah.
I think we should just be able to. You know? Let's just not pay for anything.
Yeah.
Get rid of money entirely. Just everybody do what they want to.
It's crazy how, like, money is an invention. You know, like, there was a time before money where people just, like, in the fields and did whatever they wanted, like hunters gatherers, all that stuff. That, again, I'm not gonna get my rent. What's one piece of advice you have for yourself, for the world, for me, whatever you want?
I think it has to come back. I'm losing my voice because I ran out of water. I think it has to come back to the idea of appreciating every little moment, because I don't think it's something people do enough of.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's very easy to only remember the bad things, because for whatever reason, psychologically, those, like, way heavy around. Like, when I think back to my childhood, I remember the bad times more than anything. Like, I remember all the bad events that happened, like funerals or injuries or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard to remember, like, the good parts of my childhood. I remember going through, like, my mom's VHS tapes and, like, seeing, like, videos of me as a kid, and, like, I had such a good childhood. I just don't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just important to really, like, take stock of every good little moment, and, like, so I don't want to, like, spoil this movie, but, like, about time, like, part of what happens in it is, like, he can travel back in time.
Yeah.
So one of the exercises that his dad gives him is to live out your day how you normally would.
Yeah.
Taking everything for granted, not really paying attention, just kind of, like, going through the motions, right?
Yeah.
And now that, like, once you live out that day, now that you know it's okay, like, everything works out, everything turns out okay,
Yeah.
go back and live that day again, and, like, really appreciate all the little things, and, like, just because I think everything's gonna work out no matter
Yeah.
what. You're gonna end up where you're supposed to be. But so we don't have the privilege to be able to relive a day, right?
Yeah.
It'd be cool if we did. It'd be very cool, superpower. So we have to do that from the start. Of just knowing everything's gonna work out no matter what. Don't let these small things weigh on you. Really just take every little moment. Like appreciate every interaction you have with somebody. Like smile at somebody. Like compliment somebody. Like do every single thing you can to like better somebody's day, and just appreciate it when your day's being made.
I love it. And then, last but not least, the best question of all time. Top 5.
Top 5. Oof. Okay. In order or no?
No particular order.
Okay. So, storms are gonna always be a top one for me.
Mm-hmm.
But especially like summer storms, like with green trees, and kind of like, it's kind of light out, but it's still cloudy. Like there's no light coming through, but just like, you can see everything.
Yeah.
And I love when it's a heavy rain. So, storms are one. Actually, I'm gonna only rank the one. Friends are at the top for me.
Friends.
Friends will be the one. The rest will not be ranked. Movies.
Movies.
I'm really thinking water right now, just
Water?
because I ran out of thirsty. But I'm not gonna say water. I'm just.
Okay.
This is tough. I think it's just. I think I'm gonna encompass water and just like, when you're really like jonesing for something, you're really craving something, or like you really need like a cold drink or like cold meat or cold fruit on a hot day.
Yeah.
Like that feeling of just like, or like fresh bread.
Yeah.
Like on a cold fall day, like
Yeah.
getting that complete like opposite like sustenance
Yeah.
with food. So good.
That first bite of in a meal when you haven't eaten all day kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good answer. That's a really good answer.
Thank you. And then the last one, I'm gonna throw plants on there. I told you I used to garden a lot, and I don't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I very much want to, and now I'm talking about it. I'm gonna go get a plant later today because I wanted to get a plant from here that I could take to California. It's like something to look at every day that reminds me of back home.
Yeah.
So I might do that today. So I think plants up there. I think plants are they're so underrated, man. They do so much for us.
Yeah. That's a great top 5.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Of course.
It was great having you on. I'm really glad that we got to do this before you leave because, but like you said, we're gonna stay in touch. Don't worry.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know how to end this thing, so goodbye. Yeah, that's the podcast.
There you go.